In this video, agents, I'm going to be showing you a very well-versed, very well-rounded PvE tank that can fill the roles in both heroic and legendary missions, as well as specifically the Iron Horse raid, Morozova, Lieutenant Williams, and Fieser tank-oriented build that will allow you to have 100% burn resist to do those HazPro builds, or if you need to do the Stagger or the key tank on Morozova, this build will fill that role. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like and sub if you do. Comment if not. How's it going, agents? It's Graphology here, bringing you another Division 2 video. I got a request for a kind of a tank build that you can use in endgame PvE content, so this is what I'm bringing to you on this video, alright? Getting right into it, there's two ways you can run this build. The first being a technician, but there's also a variant for the demolitionist. And the reason that we run the demolitionist would be for the 20% innate burn resist that you get from the talent trees. So if you're going into Iron Horse, I'm going to preface this video by stating you probably want to switch to demolitionist, not technician for this build. I'm going to show you a technician right now because this is more for heroic and legendary runs that you want to use a tank build on. However, if you're going into, say, Fieser or Lieutenant Williams, which requires sometimes a HazPro tank or a fire resistance tank, rather, then you want to especially run demolitionist, rather, for that as your specialization. Okay, now let's get into the gear. So the armor is the most important pieces. As you can see, I'm running a 4 set of foundry. So this is a very simple thing to farm. You can just run farm foundry bulwark. You want to get the head, the gloves, the knee pads, and the holster. You want to re-roll all of the secondary attributes to hazard protection. Get it as high as you can. That's going to give you 40% hazard protect right off the bat between these 4 slots. All right. And the reasoning is, again, is hazard protection applies to all of your reductions. So, you know, burn, blind, disrupt, all that jazz is covered in hazard protection. All right. The two other pieces that you're seeing here, so this is kind of a must for me because of the skill health. However, you can go Hannah U here if you want to go Hannah U and go skill haste. You can also do that as well. But you want to get an Empress International with a skill tier. The important stat to roll is the hazard protection. Now you can see I haven't optimized this piece, so I could technically get another 3% hazard protection here to max at 10%. That would get me up to 50 with the foundry, all right? But again, I didn't roll this piece out. I don't use this tank all that much, but just note that you want to try to max roll hazard protect and keep the skill tier here. As for the talent, you want to roll Protector here. You can also roll Adrenaline Rush. There's not an issue with that. However, I like to buff the group for survivability with my tank build because your sole purpose as a tank is to keep the group alive. It is not about keeping yourself alive. It is about keeping the entire group alive as a tank in this build. So Protector, you know, every time you get shot, every 3 seconds, you're going to put up 15% of your armor as bonus armor to your teammates. So as you can see here, I have 1.7 mil. So that's a substantial amount of armor that's being given off to, say, if you've got a red DPSer. I believe red DPSers, let me just show you quickly here. So this is all red. I don't know why I'm still in combat. Probably because I shot the thing or whatever. So if you go to this build right here, so you've got 759k as a red DPSer. So you're essentially getting about a little over half of what those people are getting for armor. You're giving that much armor more to those individuals every 3 seconds that you're getting shot at. All right. So that's very important to me. I think that talent is underutilized by a lot of tanks. Because you should be getting shot at for the most part, so you should be keeping that buff active. All right. As terms of the chest plate I like to run Pointman. Again, it's a Gila named piece. It basically gives you 50 instead of 45 here. But this you want to use on cooldown as a tank. I can't tell you how many tanks I've run with that only pop this when they need to throw their shield up for certain abilities. You should be watching this cooldown every 25 seconds during encounters and rolling this with your shield. And that means just, even if that just means pulling your shield off and then throwing your shield immediately back up, that is what you need to do using this talent to get the most out of it. It gives you invulnerability for 5 seconds, but on top of that, it gives you, all your teammates in your party, 50% of your armor as bonus armor for 20 seconds. So it's huge. I mean, that is essentially double their armor points in terms of survivability. All right. And if you're running 2 tanks, say if you're doing Morozova, you can have one guy switch to tardigrade system. This is just a backup. It's basically a party-wide invulnerable build. And basically, if you lose all your armor or your armor breaks, you get 80% of your armor back. It's got a 45%, 45-second cooldown. So that is the only downside to the tardigrade. But I especially like to run Pointman. Pointman is by far the better of the 2 in my opinion, only because you can roll it as the tank. You have control of the armor. And you don't have this 45-second cooldown bugging you down once someone breaks their armor again. All right. So I went over the specializations. So if you're running the technician, you kind of want to run the artificer hiver. And the reason for this is because it will essentially renew or refresh a good chunk of health on your shield. I think it's about 30 to 40% of your shield health every 10 seconds. Plus, you can throw this on the ground near you if you're tanking. You throw it within your range of where you're tanking, and your other teammates will also get that buff towards, you know, their turrets, towards their drones, anything that you can think of that they're using as skills. It will buff their skills as well. So it's very important in that aspect as well. And very underutilized. Not a lot of tanks think to throw this on the ground. Now, if you don't throw that on the ground, then you can it will be attached to your back, and it will still refresh your own shield. So even if you forget to throw this on the ground, it is still going to be useful to you as the tank. All right. And of course, Bulwark Shield is the other skill that you want to run as this tank. The Bulwark you want to mod with any holstered regen or active regens. All right. If you can't get that, then go Shield Health. All right. If you're running, like, say, Morozova, you can switch this out to, say, the sticky explosive shot. This is to stagger Morozova. And because you have skill tier reduction, or skill tiers rather, from your backpack technician, and then I'm going to show you here I'm using a card with the skill tier plus, that is going to give you enough cooldown along with your mod slots in skill haste. Okay, so these mod slots in this build are skill haste reductions. That's going to give you a 30-second or less cooldown on that explosive shot, which will then allow you to shoot her every time she does her kneels. All right. The mods can also be changed out to burn resistance. If you say are doing Fieser on the inside, inside the furnace with Fieser, you can do burn mods. You only need 2 of those if you're running demolitionist rather, for the burn resist. So you'd have 20% burn resist from the specialization. You'd have 40% HazPro on this, so that's what, 60, and then 70, 80 for these. All right, so you'd have 80% HazPro, and then you would essentially need 2 mods to be 10% burn resist. And if you want to go all 3, you could get all 3 if you have less than 10% optimized. That would give you the 100% burn resist. That essentially would allow you to push the button on Lieutenant Williams during a red phase up at the top. So you essentially could hold the button for the red phase. And for Fieser, you can essentially stay in that room with him, not take any fire damage, and essentially just kite him around easily staying in there the entire time. If you do not have the burn resist mods, don't worry. 70 to 80% is still pretty solid for Fieser. You should be able to take 100 stacks fire damage. Just make sure you're not standing right inside of his flamethrower, and you should be fine. If you do need to leave the room for like a couple seconds, you can always do that. Just wipe your stacks off and then go back in after. But this build will certainly do it. As far as the main slot weapons go, I do have a Ravenous here only because of Morozova. Again, if you need to stagger her, Ravenous is very easily to just whip out quick without your shield on and then shoot her left shoulder to right shoulder. 1, 2 left, switch to right, boom, she explodes, gets her off her feet. The alternative to that could be a Merciless. Merciless was old school as far as the stagger goes. For people that didn't have Ravenous net yet, you could just use a couple shots. I think it's like 3 shots of click and release, and she'll also get staggered with a Merciless. All right. That's essentially the build, guys. So again, just to recap, 4-piece Foundry, Reroll HazPro. You got either Hannah Yu or Empress International with Protector or Adrenaline Rush. Keep the skill tier on it and roll HazPro on it. And then Gila Pointman or just a regular Gila with Perfect Vanguard or Vanguard on it to roll every 25 seconds with your shield. All right. Technician, you want to run Artificer, Hive, and Bulwark as your main 2 skills. If you are doing Morozova, just switch this out to a Sticky Grenade Explosive. Or if you're if you want to just run a Reviver Hive there, the Reviver Hive works just as well. All right. And then, of course, for Lieutenant Fieser and or Lieutenant Williams, if you want to go 100% burn resist, you just switch this out to Demolisher and then put a couple of burn resist mods. That should get you the 100% burn resistance through the HazPro rolls and the burn mods, along with the 20% off of Demolitionist. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will show you guys some brief tanking just from a heroic and legendary standpoint to show you that you can bring it into those as well just fine. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys on my next video. All right, guys, so you're just joining me here. Here's the build that we just discussed. It's a tank build. I see my guys are engaged. I'm going to throw up my Vanguard. And now I'm going to move up. So I'm watching. The real thing about this build is you want to watch to make sure. Like right now, boom. Okay, I wanted to watch to make sure Vanguard came off cooldown. You can see I'm just standing here, boom, 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 boom. Now my job is really just to make sure that this guy stays on me the whole time, which he's doing. Piece of cake. We'll do one more pull here just to show a little more example. But yeah, I mean, it's basically watch Vanguard buff. Make sure you roll that on your teammates. So here they come. They're coming right here. Just run right in here. Boom. Make sure you're facing forward. Vanguard's not off yet. Moving up. Look at my, by the way, look at my shield health in heroic mode, but I don't know if you guys see that or not, but I'm gonna break it off, re-roll Vanguard while they're reloading. Moving up. I just like to throw grenades because why not? Make sure I get over here. By the way, Artificer Hive brought my shield back up to about 50% right there. Not sure if you guys saw that, but another nice thing to, you know, watch for. Throw another EMP grenade. There we go. Alright guys, so you see the tanking legitness of this, alright? In raids it's really no different, you know, it's keep the mobs in front of you, roll that Vanguard, and win essentially. Watch your teammates flush it out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, alright? Like, sub, tell me what you didn't like in the comments. I'll see you on the next one.